proud members of the Fan First Sports Network.
If you're going to keep the game close enough that the refs can make a difference, you didn't do yourself enough to win the game.
And it's not just the refs. It's if you're going to keep it close enough, the tiniest of things are going to swing that game.
45, 40, 35, 40, he's gonna go! It's time, people, feel it!
Big Red Junkies.
Day by day, he gets better and better! If we die, we die!
Man, put a child in that, put him in the aisle!
Bring that trophy back to Lincoln!
Sad crack.
There's the season, boys.
Well, wait, I'm sorry. After we, take a drink, do I have to shake each of your guys' hands before we start this? Because I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm just curious.
No, we're just going to fight.
God.
Just like everybody else did yesterday.
Yeah, it was really funny, the outrage that happened over all the handshaking or non-handshaking at that point.
Grace. Or walking through the warm-up. Oh, my God.
But then to see the way things happened in several games across the country yesterday.
The whole weekend, people were just on edge. The whole weekend was just full of shitty people. Like, that's all it was.
That was wild.
Crazy. Just, my God. Out of all the things that have come out of that Nebraska-Iowa game, the outrage over a handshake, honestly, on both sides. Some of it was on the Nebraska side. Some of it was on the Iowa side, too. It's like, my God, people.
Whatever. Flaccid stroke. Move on.
Well, and I made the mistake on Friday night of seeing all that stuff when I was wasted drunk back home. And all I saw was people talking about it. I didn't actually see the videos. I didn't see anything that was going on. And I read one post, and then it was like 3 or 4 more others. It was all the same shit. I'm like, what the fuck? And I posted this big ranting thing, and then I felt like an absolute dunce the next day because I looked at what actually happened. I'm like, nope, I go delete that.
That's
tweet
coming down.
That's dumb as fuck.
Well, and even when you and I were going back and forth, I was not nearly as drunk as I know you probably were. We weren't together at the time, but I just kind of just kept responding, say, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Because I knew where you were mentally, and I was just like, hey, whatever, you feel how you want, I'm going to feel how I want, whatever. Just.
But I think you made a good point in that moment where everybody just was misplacing some anger at that point.
Absolutely. If we would have won, nobody would have given a shit that we didn't shake their precious hands.
No, it wouldn't have mattered. And from what I understand, we've been doing it half the season anyway.
Yeah,
didn't do it at Ohio State. I know that for sure.
There's a long history. Forget the whole whether or not you want to call Iowa Nebraska rivalry or not, which it is. I don't give a shit. And Iowa fans and players want to stand on this high horse. There's been times where a kicker for Iowa stood on our field and petted an imaginary cat towards our head coach after he hit a game-winning field goal.
Whatever.
Another one where they waved to our team and our fans after a field goal. Last year, Rhule talked about how they told us Merry Christmas. They, for whatever reason, are a bunch of fucking pussies about their midfield precious logo and had armed cops. God forbid we make a prayer at midfield. It's not like we're desecrating. Like, spare me with this disrespect bullshit, and you guys are all class. Fuck off.
The logo thing, I'm looking at it from both sides here going, look, every coach knows in warm-ups, you stay on your side of the 50, we'll stay on our side of the 50. Leave it the fuck alone. God doesn't care where you're praying from. You don't have to pray from the 50. Pray from the 40. Pray from the end zone. Do whatever it is. At this point, it feels like they're just being antagonistic to be antagonistic, and they're shielding themselves by saying it's a prayer. On the other side of it, who the fuck cares? It's a quick prayer, and it's really before warm-ups are starting anyway.
So if the center logo is so precious to so many different people, and this isn't just Iowa, because USC
obviously they started at Colorado last year.
By the way, did you see the USC Trojan account that we follow on Twitter posted out that Notre Dame went out to midfield before the game, and they did a circle around the SC, and he was appreciative that they were respectful to the SC, and they didn't actually touch it. They just went around it. It's like, get the fuck out of here. So what I'm proposing is in football.
Well, their mascot stabs it. It's the intro of every game.
Yeah. So what I'm proposing is, like, at the coin toss, we cannot stand at midfield at the coin toss anymore. We have to go down to like the 35 or something like that and do that because
that's clearly
you're standing on the logo. And at any point that you're making a long run up the middle, make sure you go around because God forbid anybody touch the precious logo at the center of the field. Also, so we stood in an end zone to pray instead. I'm sorry, what's in the end zone? Is there any like Iowa stuff in the end zone? That are we allowed to touch that? Like, God damn, every fucking person, get the fuck over it. It's fucking grass or fake grass.
Yeah.
Relax.
You guys have talked more on this than I care to. I don't care
agree,
about any of it. I don't care. I don't care.
I just had to get it. I agree. I just had to get it out.
I think it's funny.
Iowa wants to protect it. Fine. I don't give a shit.
I think it's funny.
All of it.
It's also a wild misuse of resources to have, 6 or 7 cops stand out there.
Great. If they're getting paid, good for them.
That one should have been enough.
Safest place in Iowa was standing around that fucking hawkhead.
If I was
an
one of
on-duty
those
cop and I'm protecting grass.
If I was one of those cops and I was told I had to go to midfield to protect the logo, I'd be like, wait, what?
I would have laughed.
What, are you serious?
I would have laughed.
I just don't care about it. I'm here to watch the football.
Yeah. I don't know.
I agree.
It sounded like, so our dad was at the game and he said that Iowa fans were all being dickheads the whole time.
I saw a lot of that.
So he compared it to what he knows of Colorado fans from the 90s. And if that's the way it's going to be, that's the way it's going to be. You're coming to Lincoln next year. Better be ready.
Mm-hmm.
But this game, with the exception of basically, I don't know, probably 5 plays, maybe 7 plays, Nebraska absolutely dominated Iowa.
Yes, they did.
Absolutely dominated in every facet of imagination.
Outside of scoring.
Outside of scoring. I mean, we held them to a total of 5 first downs. We didn't let them pick up a single third down conversion.
Yeah.
You have Nair hold on to a ball and score a touchdown. You have any number of different offensive plays that could have broken the right way actually break. We should have won this game by 3 or 4 scores.
Oh, I mean, I could even just say, and I'm not blaming Shavers for this because he thought it touched one of our players, so absolutely you go after that ball. But
yeah,
a quarter of an inch, if the Iowa player touches that punt before Shavers does,
they don't get that touchdown.
They never score a touchdown.
There's no touchdown there.
Never scored a touchdown the entire game.
The touchdown was scored on the long play. We held them to a field goal there.
You're right. I meant they never score another touchdown to be able to, or even get in that position to kick a field goal.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
At the end of the day, Nebraska beat Iowa pretty handily in this game.
Absolutely.
We just didn't win the game.
Yeah.
Just kind of the story of a lot of games that have been over the last few years. And that's going to fix itself. I don't think we need to worry about that anymore. But
I agree.
Overall, outside of putting the ball on the ground, Nebraska played a hell of a game.
I agree.
It was a very cold game, and that's part of why I'll give a little bit of credence to the balls dropping. If you notice, there's also a difference in the way that balls have dropped this year over last year, and that's the awareness when it's coming out. They're falling on balls immediately, and that's why we're not losing. So
we only lost 2 of 5.
Yeah.
And one of them was, like you said, that Shavers that you count it as a fumble, but it was really just a scramble for the ball.
Yeah. But it's as far as my feelings from this game from Friday night when I was, like I said, drunk as hell watching the end of it, to all day yesterday, back and forth, reading things, rewatching the game, seeing some different things as I rewatched the game that just made it even more frustrating that we weren't up by several scores by the end of the game. It just goes back to our same conversation after the USC game. The boogeyman's here. That's exactly what this was, and Iowa was the perfect representation for it, in that this upper classman group just had, love them, love a lot of them, but they just got to get turned out. They just got to go away, because that thought in the back of your mind that you don't have the ability to pull off a 1-score game, that thought in the back of your mind that you don't have the ability to, when you're absolutely dominating every single stat, with the exception of the scoreboard, to just put your foot on their throat, that's got to go away. And Gary Sharp on the Average Joe's show this morning actually made a really, really good point about, him and Bill Dolman made a good point about why was it chasing 3? Why was the focus on just getting that incrementally better so that you can get over the hump on a 1-score game? Why wasn't it chase 40?
Because you take one step at a time. That's why.
I agree. I see both sides. I get both sides of that.
But if your target is to only get incrementally better because that's all you needed from last year, you're never going to be an elite team. You need to shoot for the stars when it comes to, you should be aggressive in every facet. We should be, our goal should be come out and punch them in the mouth in the first quarter, and then you can take your foot off the gas. It's not about, oh, guys, we only just need to get a little bit better. Because that's all you're going to get out of them if that's what your whole goal is.
It's about getting a little bit better every single play.
Well, and one of
you
the
can't
mantras,
just come out there as a 5-7 team and shoot for a national championship every year. You
Why
have to
not?
build
What the fuck
yourself
is the
up and
point of
get
playing?
better. To build yourself up and get better.
You can have reasonable expectations for a team based on the talent level that you have on your roster. But your objective should absolutely be a championship every single year coming in.
And say
Every
your
single
objective
year.
can't be that, but that's what Chasing 3 was all about.
Yeah.
Was getting better every single play.
their whole mantra is 1% better every day. That's literally what they do when they break down the huddle. 1, 2, 3, 1 better.
Yeah.
I get that. I get all of that.
It's not to get 25% better every day.
Yeah.
Well, there's been more than 100 days of practice for this season. They are not 100% better. That's for fucking sure. When it comes down to it, we did break one more record this week. We've never in the history of Nebraska football finished the season 6-6. It's done.
Wow.
We accomplished that.
Oh,
Great.
cool.
So-
Yay, us.
I don't know who looked that up, but you can keep your stats.
Nebraska does.
We've actually never finished 6-6 or 7-5. So we were going to break it one way or the other on Saturday or on Friday.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty wild. Outside of that, I mean, I don't have much else to talk about this game. We drubbed them up and down the field. I think there's been too much made of some of the quote-unquote errant throws by Raiola. I actually thought he played one of his best games that he's played here at Nebraska. He had some dudes not make plays, like that Nair catch that would have easily been a touchdown that went right through
Or
his
at
fucking
least
hands.
to the 10 to 5 yard line. You know,
There was one more dude back there, and Banks was in front of him.
I get it, but I'm just saying.
I'm with you.
At minimum, they're at the 10.
It was a score. One way or the other, it was
Yes.
most likely another score.
Yes.
You take that one back by itself, and this is probably a W.
Yep.
But at the same time, you also have to look at, there were several throws where it looked like Raiola was just overthrowing a guy that was really well covered. I think he was just throwing the ball out because his awareness in this game, you take away the one fumble and I think one other sack, I can't remember for sure, but his awareness was on point in this game, and it was way, way better this week than it had been the previous 5 or 6. He was getting rid of balls. He was throwing them over receivers' heads because he knew that they were covered and weren't going to make a play. But
Well, hell, and there was one thrown probably over Jamal Banks' head, but he just went up and fucking got it.
that was
Like, it's just.
that was something we saw that was impressive. Also, the Jalen Lloyd actually coming back for the ball. That was like the first time all season we saw a wide receiver not just stand in his spot where he's supposed to be, and he actually came back and got a ball.
I pray to God that we're able to keep Dan Holgerson on staff because just the 3 games of difference has been incredible.
Yeah.
Even if it's just effort.
Yeah.
Like they've talked about, the plays were all there. The simplification happened.
The talent is there. The effort is where it's been lacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and Raiola, at the beginning of the game, Raiola did miss Jalen Lloyd down the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny that the dumbasses on the TV broadcast, he on that play where he missed Jalen Lloyd, he was like, oh, he had Ja'Cory Barney wide open in the middle of the field. It's like, yeah, Jalen Lloyd was wide open down the field.
Yeah.
Like, that's why he threw it there.
Yeah.
He just missed him. Like, whatever.
Yeah, Colt McCoy also did not get 1% better every single day. Because if you recall, he was the guy who called our first game of the season.
The
God.
Colorado game.
Or the Colorado game,
Yeah.
that's right. And that was his first ever game,
Man.
and it was awful. This one wasn't as bad,
Was
but it
this
was
his
still
second
bad.
ever game?
I just feel bad for him because he's
I
not
don't.
good.
He's a Longhorn. Fuck
I don't
him.
know how he's getting these
feel bad.
primetime NBC games. Like, can you not find somebody else to do this? What the fuck?
Matthew McConaughey probably made a phone call. Something. It's bad.
I'll do your next miniseries
It's
if you'll
so
do this for
bad.
me.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else if you want to jump into the questions.
Sure.
Yeah, let's just do it.
Caleb Johnson rushing yards 139 and a half. Boy, oh boy, did he have the under. I mean,
They only had, 49 total rushing yards
yeah.
on the game?
He had 45 of them.
Yeah, he had 45. His long was 25. That swing pass that he caught out, that was a 72 yarder.
Yeah.
That was where he really made his hay. If that was a total yards, we
Yeah.
basically would have been at the number.
Yeah.
So your number was not wrong. It was just didn't include one extra stat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he wasn't like the biggest catch the ball out of the backfield guys. I wasn't thinking about doing total yards, but I kind of compared that run by Caleb Johnson, which was impressive as much as it hurt us so badly. I said, I was saying to somebody later that night, I go, did you see that run by Caleb Johnson on that touchdown? They're like, well, and they didn't actually watch the game. They were looking for highlights. I go, honestly, it reminded me a lot of the Tommy Frazier run in the Fiesta Bowl against Florida, where just shedding tackles left and right. Well, and just continuing down the field.
Our guys weren't helping because John Bullock had him wrapped up, and then John Bullock got smoked by two dudes.
I don't care that he got hit, but he needed to make that tackle.
I agree.
He should have made the tackle even before the Nebraska guys got there.
I totally agree. I'm not taking away from that. I'm just simply saying it was weird, and it was very much like that Tommy Frazier.
Yeah. Myself and the fans were the only ones to take the under on that one. Emmett Johnson total yards, 139.5. Also, he had 96 total yards. BJ and Matt, you guys took the under on that one. Ja'Cory Barney total yards, 99.5. He had 65. Matt, you were the only one to take the over on that one, so that was not good. Matt finally had a bad week, by the way.
Wasn't bad enough.
I know. Dylan,
he was trying his damnedest.
Dylan Raiola completion percentage 66.4. He had 68.7. BJ, you took the under on that one. Who will have more tackles for loss? Nebraska had 9. Iowa had 8. Everybody but the fans took Nebraska. So the fans didn't like Nebraska, apparently. This was the one that really helped me because I got a bonus point on this one. Longest field goal made by either team, and it came down to the very last play of the game.
Yep.
Iowa had the 53-yarder because the bonus point was which team will have the longest field goal. Everybody took the over. I was the only one to take Iowa.
Question about that on there for you.
Yep.
On that, when Matt Rhule called the timeout, very clearly the ref is waving that off prior to the snap. That should have been delayed game. That's what Matt Rhule was calling for.
Yeah.
Did you agree with that? Matt called it out as it happened before Matt Rhule was even running on the field.
So this morning before I came over here, I was watching the Big 10 and 60 game of the Nebraska-Iowa game. And I rewound it multiple times to see how long before I heard the first whistle before the kick. And I don't really remember what I counted until the snap and the kick happened. But the ref, as the kicker starts to move towards the ball, is starting to say on the microphone, timeout, Nebraska, blah, blah. It's like,
there was easily a whole second and a half before that ball got snapped.
That was trash.
That is 1,000% on the refs.
And here's the thing, too. Maybe the kick's the same. Maybe the kick's not the same.
Maybe.
Because his practice kick, he would have hit from 60.
Yeah.
But the kick that happened, if it had been back maybe 6 more inches, it would have doinked off.
Yeah.
Because that thing was on its way out.
And with the horrible camera angle on the initial shot of the kick, I thought it hit the bar.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that was a very frustrating thing. It was one of those, there's some things we can point to. Like Matt said it before the show started. If you're not going to capitalize, if you're going to play it so close that the refs are going to fuck you, especially in the Big Ten for Nebraska,
you already lost the game.
It's going to happen. The big long Caleb Johnson catch out of the backfield. There was a massive block in the back missed on that, and a really bad hold missed on that. Should have been calls that brought that back. Just nothing.
If you're going to keep the game close enough that the refs can make a difference, you didn't do yourself enough to win the game.
And it's not just the refs. It's if you're going to keep it close enough, and going back to what you talked about, how playing it just to be close games, the tiniest and tiniest of things are going to swing that game. Forget whether or not it's the refs or not. Just 5 fumbles and losing only 2 of them. One of those stops a drive. You could be running down the field and you fumble the ball, you're done right there, instead of 20 yards farther down the field or whatever. The tiniest of margins can change the entire game if you're going to just play close games.
Yeah.
And we see that all the fucking time with Nebraska because of all the close games that we play.
Yeah.
Question 7 was Thomas Fidone total snaps, 19.5. He had 17. Matt, you were the only one to take the under on that one.
Did he get pulled after that blown block on the swing pass to Carter Nelson in the third quarter?
I don't think he got pulled at any point. I think they were just
they just didn't use him
truly
that much.
just rotating everybody in. Because the other two guys each they were in like the 20s as far as for snaps.
Yeah, they're both each playing better than him.
I hope he transfers.
I don't.
I
hope he continues to get better.
Well, that's fine. Get better. Find your effort. That's what I want to see. You can't throw an arm tackle or an arm block at a guy like this that's your size and expect to do anything. Which is why that Carter Nelson one didn't go for 20 plus yards. Said it was a 1 or 2 yard loss. All he had to do was turn and throw a straight block, and Carter Nelson would have been gone. Instead, he gets stuck in no man's land between a corner that's out here that looks like he's also stuck in no man's land, and a D-end that read the play the entire way, and all he needed was one dude to be in front of him, and Carter Nelson was gone. It was the taking the plays off by him is just my patience is gone with that.
By the way, I was thinking of a different week because I was adding up the total weeks. You didn't have a bad week this week, man. I'm sorry.
God damn it!
I was thinking of the Indiana game because I went back and recalculating everything. The last question I had was, what will be more, Nebraska points scored or Iowa pass attempts? It was 10-15 for Iowa, having 15 pass attempts. Matt, you were the only one to take Iowa in that one. Matt, you went 6-3. I went 6-3. BJ and the fans both went 4-5.
So where are we at on the season?
Gross. I don't even want to know.
I do.
I have it somewhere.
We only have one game left. I want to know.
Matt, you are up by 8 games or 8 picks or whatever, however we want to say that.
Love it.
You have 58 correct out of 101 questions. You have 58. I have 50. The fans have 47, and BJ, you have 37.
I'm 10 behind the fans. Woof.
10 behind the fans.
So we're going to have like 40 questions for the bowl game, right?
Nope.
I didn't chance to catch
Well, when you say 40 questions, are you only answering half of them so you can catch up?
That's me.
Motherfucker, you got to get healthy the same way you got sick.
By the way, even if he is the only person to answer half of them, he still won't catch up.
How many total did Matt have again?
58 out of 101.
I have 20 more than you.
My God. Let's talk a little bit of bowl projections, guys. Where do you think we're headed?
It'll be the Music City Bowl, in my opinion.
I keep seeing the Pinstripe Bowl.
It was either.
No, we're not going to New York or Detroit.
That'll be Michigan as far as up to the Pinstripe Bowl. But
I hope Michigan and Colorado get to play each other.
It sounded like it was either going to be Tampa or Nashville, depending on whoever won the Nebraska-Iowa game. And since we lost, it sounds like we're going to Nashville.
I'm all right with it. Although it's probably more expensive to go to Nashville now than it is to go to Tampa. But it'll be exciting one way or the other. It'll be nice to be in a bowl game. It'll be nice to have something to talk about for the next month.
It'd be nice for our team to have those practices too.
Oh, God,
Matt Rhule's talked about that several times.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and he's
15,
not wrong.
It's 15 extra practices.
Yeah.
That's big when you outlay it over a senior, like a fifth-year guy.
Yeah.
You outlay an additional, what
60
would that
practices?
be, an extra 60?
No. 75.
75 practices total for
we had
his
that stat
career.
come up on the TV with the Wisconsin-Nebraska game where during this bowl drought that Nebraska's had, Wisconsin has had 105 extra practices than Nebraska did over those 7 years or whatever.
That's insane.
Yeah. And by the way, we will be 15 up on them after this year because they're not going to a fucking bowl game.
No, they're not. We're catching up.
That's a team that has
Matt,
given
you need
up
to
on
take
their
off
coach.
all the questions for the bowl game, just like Wisconsin.
Nope.
We still won't catch you.
You definitely won't. Jet has a chance.
No, I mean, I'm still 8 behind you, so no, I don't.
Any final thoughts on this one, guys?
I don't know. I guess since this show is about to be over, should I plant my flag at midfield and we can all just brawl in the hallway?
We can fight about it. Nah, bro. I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. Go ahead.
Well, fuck Iowa.
Yep.
And this may be the most unbelievable night in Cornhusker football history.